Is pixel binning an option worth considering for recording videos on the Samsung S25 Ultra or any other video or any other camera that you might have?
Quick cut to the studio. I wanted to showcase the difference between pixel binning mode and when it's full sensor, um, oversampled, full resolution. So this here is pixel binning mode. It is using I am using the full sensor resolution, full sensor height and width, but I'm basically cropping the top and bottom to fit a 16:9 aspect ratio, but this is actually being shot in 4:3. And so because this is pixel bin, what it's happening is it's actually 2000 some exactly. I'll tell you, it is, I don't know, it's 2000 something pixels by 1500 something pixels. So, but I want you to compare this image quality, and I'm going to play back exactly what just happened now, side by side with the image that's going to be recorded using no pixel binning. So here we are. This is no pixel binning, full oversampled, 4080 by 3060 pixels wide. Now the phone has been off for, not off, but I haven't been recording with the phone for a little while now. As you'll notice, different location, different setting, climate controlled. When I was in pixel bin mode, I was seeing GPU usage was close to about 35, well right now it's at 35% GPU usage and climbing, but in pixel bin mode it was at about 10%. So that just tells you right there the benefits of using pixel bin mode. But you tell me, looking at this image side by side, do you notice any detail difference, right? Now, granted, we're working with double the resolution, but see now GPU is almost at 40%. But like you get more resolution, everything else is the same. But do you notice any more noise in shadow areas? And right now I've set the exposure so that it doesn't fluctuate. It's not on auto exposure. It's shutter 1/30 with ISO 800. And so this is the image that you get. So how is the difference with the image with regards to the noise and everything else in resolution, sharpness, detail? Which image do you prefer? Now, I know just for the sake of functionality, I will be opting to use the pixel binning mode because I've just found that to be more reliable. And in the event I do want more resolution for whatever reason, usually I want more resolution because I'm going to be stabilizing using something like gyro flow, but I am becoming more and more fond of using the gimbal here.
So right now I'm recording on the S25 Ultra, and so I've been using motion cam for a while, and one of the frustrations I kept dealing with was the limitation of the phone essentially overheating. Now, in the case of recording video at open gate, full sensor with 4000 plus pixel resolution, so it's more than just standard 4K. In all of its various lenses and modes, I'd run into overheating, even if I were to scale that back to recording at 3840 by 2160 or 2880. In both cases, I would still run into the challenge of it either dropping frames after about the 5 to 6 minute marks if I'm not cooling the phone. And so recently I saw a comment where the commentator said, I forgot your name. I'm driving, so I'm not. I don't remember. But thank you for the comment, though. The comment was, this individual records tournaments or games of futsal. I had to look up what futsal is. Futsal is actually what pickleball is to tennis. Futsal is to soccer or football. What they do is, imagine instead of a full soccer field, it's something the size of a basketball court. It's 5-on-5, and the soccer ball itself is actually harder and less bouncy. And you're not necessarily playing on turf. I think is kind of like the hardwood or the hard floor, like that of a basketball court. And so, and they were mentioning how recording in 1080p, I think they're using motion cam on the Samsung, they're able to get several hours of recording reliably. And so that made me wonder, okay, that makes sense. Now, the thing was, I did not want to record in 1080p. I wanted to get as much resolution as I could possibly, but still facing hit the wall of reliability with regards to drop frames and things like that. And so I considered the option of enabling pixel binning in motion cam. Now, if you're not familiar with what pixel binning is and how that is executed, because there's differences in the way that it's executed to give you a particular result. Pixel binning is the idea of grouping multiple pixels together on your sensor such that you are now working with a super pixel, is what they call it. And that super pixel results in an image that has less noise and works better in low light, but it comes at a cost, and that cost is resolution. And so take, for example, the prime example, rather, of the Sony a7S III, the FX3, the ZV-E1. This camera, the sensor that it has is essentially a 48 megapixel sensor. But due to the design of the sensor and its architecture, is that within the sensor itself, from what I understood, is that they've grouped these sensors such that the colors red, green, and blue are arranged in a particular way within the sensor itself so that you get super pixels. Now, you start with a 48 megapixel sensor, yes, but due to the grouping of these pixels to produce quote unquote super pixels, you end up with 12 megapixel output, which is fine, which is more than 4K. In fact, it's still downsampling down to a 4K image, which is fantastic. And you get a crazy low light capabilities with that camera. So, but it does come at the cost of being able to produce from 48 megapixels down to 12. In the case of photography, that's why a lot of people don't consider using the a7S III as a photo camera, because they want more resolution, they want to be able to crop and things like that. Another good example of this is the camera that I've used for a while is the Canon M6 Mark II. The M6 Mark II is a APS-C style or size sensor. It's 32 megapixels, the high resolution sensor. And when it comes to photography, it's fantastic, gives you plenty of resolution. But when it comes to video, because of the massive amount of data, it does pixel binning. Now, it doesn't do pixel binning in the same way that the a7S III does. What it does, so a7S III and the FX3, the ZV-E1, their sensor, it is designed in its hardware infrastructure or architecture, what they call it. It is in the hardware, it's already predetermined how the pixels are going to be arranged to produce that super pixel. Whereas, from what I understand, is in something like the M6 Mark II from Canon, its pixel binning methodology is done in camera, I guess, via internal software. And so there's a processing that has to happen. And so it's effectively the same idea, but when you're starting with a 7K sensor, which is 32 megapixels, in comparison to, say, a7S III, which is a 48 megapixel sensor, you go from 48 to 12. And so, or rather, 48 megapixels would be over 8K. So you go from 8K to 4K. But with relation to the M6 Mark II, you're going from 7K to 3.5K. And so, but then what it does is within the processing, it also stretches that 3.5K to 4K. So you get a pretty decent image if just standing alone by itself. It's a very good quality image. It's a pleasing image. It's just not going to be as sharp as an oversampled image. It's not going to be sharp as the a7S III image because it's still taking something that's slightly larger than 4K and squeezing it down to 4K. It's not going to be like a 6K sensor, a 24 megapixel sensor from like Sony ZV-E10 or the FX30, where it's taking a 6K image and squeezing it down to very sharp, fine 4K. But what the pixel binning does, it produces less noise at higher ISOs, and it gives you a cleaner image in low light, which is what it's intended to do. Thus, it also gives you the ability to record longer and more reliably, in theory. And so as a result, you can have a better experience in recording and capturing video. So that's the intended upside at the cost of resolution. Now, this brings us to the idea of smartphones. Smartphones have high resolution sensors. Now, apparently, the Samsung S25 Ultra, even S24, as they marketed it, they said it has an 8K sensor. I don't know if that's true. Although there are videos where I do 8K, but the 8K looks like garbage in terms of it doesn't really look like 8K. It still looks like an ugly image. But what phones in general, whether it's the iPhone or Samsung or Pixel or whatever else, they do have high resolution sensors. Many of them have like 48 or 50 megapixel sensors, or a 12 megapixel sensor, or a 12 megapixel output sensor. What that means is essentially they're working with these high resolution sensors, but when it comes to video, they are pixel binning. But you're still getting a 4K image typically because you're going from 48 or 50 megapixels or 200 megapixels as Samsung claims, and you're bringing it down to 12 megapixels or something smaller, so you can get reliable video. Now, in terms of what motion cam is able to enable, all of the resolutions that I've seen across the various lens options, whether it be the 14, 23, 20, well, the front camera and the rear, I think they're both 23 or 24 millimeters. The 63 millimeters, the 117 millimeters. Across the board, they're generally just over 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, horizontal and vertical. And so that basically tells me it's essentially a 4K sensor effectively. But with pixel binning enabled in motion cam, what that gives me is, so instead of say 4,000 to 3,000, it's giving me 2,000 to 1,500. It's still giving me the full sensor readout, but I'll tell you right now, although this video is much shorter than what I'm about to tell you, I've been recording for 28 minutes straight, reliably, on a hot day, during the day, in my car, with sunlight hitting the phone at 98 degrees outside. The phone was outside prior to this, and then I brought it inside. And so, like, I'm assuming everything's going well. It tells me it's still recording on my wireless monitor from SmallRig. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I think that is, like, this is wonderful. Like, the reliability that I wanted at the cost of some resolution. But, like, I'm seeing that the image is still pretty good, right? One of the things also I noticed over the last couple months that I've had this phone, I think it's been a couple months, if not more, vast majority of the footage that I have recorded and shared from my phone has been with family through WhatsApp, or even with for work with colleagues through WhatsApp. And so I figured, well, if most of my stuff is being done through WhatsApp, and WhatsApp's highest resolution is 720p, then recording pixel binned in 2K, it's not a big deal. And even when using 2K resolution on my phone, in comparison to say like 4K, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. So I guess these are all considerations to be had. Just parking in the shade because it's going to get hot. I want to showcase an example of the difference between the quality of the phone in this pixel binned versus when it is not. So let me just show you something. So right now, this is the footage with the lens adapter as it is. Now, what is the quality of this image without the lens adapter? So I've disabled pixel binning, and immediately can't even record. It's because the phone has been recording for over 30 minutes at 100% GPU, 45 frames drop. Okay, so cut recording here. Okay, so what I've done now, instead of using the full sensor, I'm going 3840 by 2880. It crops in a tiny bit. I'm still using 100% of the GPU. And the GPU is already slowing down the frame rate to 21 frames per second. And boom, there we go. We've got drop frames. So, yeah. there you go. We're back to pixel bin mode. And in terms of GPU usage, it is 19%. So it really goes from 100 down to 19%. I'm not seeing any drop frames. The CPU is not being throttled. If you want to use the Samsung S25 Ultra for video reliably during the day, then I think pixel bin is the appropriate way to go.